Let me guess, you've told yourself, I don't have time for therapy. Between 12-hour shifts, charting, trying to have a life outside of work, it could feel impossible to squeeze in one more thing. I get it. But burnout doesn't wait. Anxiety doesn't wait. And your mental health, that definitely shouldn't wait. That's where Rula comes in. R-U-L-A. Rula connects you with licensed therapists who are in network with your insurance, often for as little as $15 a session. And get this, you could be matched with someone and start therapy as soon as tomorrow. No wait list, no calling around, no mental gymnastics trying to figure out if they take your plan. Rula makes it easy, affordable, and actually doable, even with the nurse's busy schedule. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/nursemo to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support the show and let them know I sent you. That's rula.com/nursemo. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Hi there, and welcome back to another encore episode of the Straight A Nursing Podcast. And I am re-releasing one of my most popular and impactful episodes ever. And that is episode number 69. So it's an oldie but a goodie, and it's all about imposter syndrome. And I also wanted to give you a bit of an update. There has been some more recent research about imposter syndrome. And I do think that the things I kind of touch on in this episode still kind of correlate with that, but just in case, I wanted to make sure you had some new information. So some researchers, Tufik and some other co-authors, did some looking into imposter syndrome and debunked some myths. So myth number one that they debunked is that imposter syndrome is permanent. So yay, it's not so permanent. It's more fluid and dynamic, as they found. So if you have imposter syndrome, guess what? You're not stuck with it. This is great news for me as a fellow imposter syndrome person. Myth number two is that it was first thought that imposter syndrome mostly affected women, but Tufik and her team basically found that this was because the original studies focused on professional women. So of course they found imposter syndrome among women. We're actually noticing that it affects men and women equally. And then myth number three is that the myth that imposter syndrome is universally harmful. This one was also debunked by Tufik and her team of co-authors. And what they found was that people with imposter syndrome might actually perform better at work, especially when it comes to interpersonal tasks. So there you go. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all bad news about imposter syndrome. And as you'll see from this episode, there are ways to manage it. There are ways to recognize that it's happening, and there are ways to keep it from being counterproductive. See you there. Hey everyone, it is Nurse Mo, and welcome back to the Straight A Nursing Podcast. Today we're on episode 69, and we're talking about imposter syndrome today. So I was having dinner with a really good friend of mine a few weeks back, and we started talking very openly, very honestly about my never-ending struggle with imposter syndrome. And my friend looked at me with total surprise after I described to her how I felt and said, "There's a name for that? I thought it was just me." And what followed was a really deep and meaningful discussion about how no matter what we achieve, we always feel like we're faking it or we don't belong. So imposter syndrome is defined as that feeling that you're not qualified to be in the situation that you find yourself in. So people who suffer from imposter syndrome often think things like, "I don't belong here," or "everyone else in the class is smarter than me," or "they're going to find out I don't know what I'm doing." So if that sounds familiar, if you've ever talked to yourself like that, you could be suffering from imposter syndrome too. But don't worry, you're not alone in this. It happens to a lot of nursing students, and we're going to hopefully work through it together. So according to Dr. Valerie Young, many people who feel imposter syndrome are students. And nursing students, absolutely no exception to this. So I want you to think back to those prerequisite courses that you took. There's a really good chance that in those courses, you were one of, if not the top student in your class. And now you're in nursing school, surrounded by top students. So you went from being a big fish in a little pond to being just a fish. You're just average. You're just like everybody else. So this is a really abrupt transition for students to go through, and it can be really easy to start thinking those thoughts like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or can I really make it? Do I have what it takes to get through this program? So the funny thing about imposter syndrome, and if you take nothing else away from this today, I just want you to take away this. It has no basis in reality. Okay? Often, people who suffer from imposter syndrome are actually held in high regard by their peers or seen as successful by other people. That feeling of inadequacy is often just internal, but that does not make it any less real. So with that said, I want to give you guys a pep talk. Like if we were sitting together in my office, having a cup of coffee, and you needed a pep talk, here we are. Let's do this. The first thing I want to say to you is you're here for a reason. You're in this nursing program for a reason. You did not get accepted because of a fluke or an error. You worked really hard and you've earned this spot. It is yours. The next thing I want to say to you is yes, other people may be smarter than you. Big deal. You are surrounded by intelligent, accomplished students, and guess what? You are one of those intelligent, accomplished students. Another thing to know is that I don't want you to think that you're always expected to know what you're talking about. So if some of that self-talk in your head is, I have no idea what I'm talking about, you're not expected to. Guess what? You're a student. You're here to learn. If you already knew everything, what would be the point of going to nursing school? The whole reason that you're here is to gain knowledge, not show off your knowledge, okay? Nursing is not the career for those who think they know everything or who think they have nothing left to learn. It is for lifelong learners, okay? If you're telling yourself, I don't know if I have what it takes to make it through this program, I want to tell you that you will make it through the program. The fact that you are here, showing up, listening to the podcast, maybe using my other resources like the website, or maybe you bought my book or my study guides, or you took my online course, or you're waiting to get my app that's coming out in a little bit. All of these things and everything else that you're doing show you've got a high level of dedication that goes above and beyond. So you're seeking out additional resources to guide your learning. That in and of itself tells me that you're a dedicated student, you will graduate, and you will get your RN license. I just got my Echo stethoscope and wow, this thing is a total game changer. Even after 14 years as a nurse, I still have moments where I second guess what I'm hearing. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. That's why I'm so excited about what Echo Health is doing. Echo pairs the classic stethoscope design with powerful audio amplification and advanced AI to help you detect heart and lung conditions earlier and with way more confidence. It amplifies sounds up to 40 times, making it easier to hear even in chaotic, noisy environments. Hello, emergency room, and hello, ICU. It also helps you detect murmurs and AFib more accurately, and you can even record and share sounds with physicians for faster collaboration. And want to hear a bonus? Echo's technology is backed by more than 4 million heart sounds, and users are twice as likely to catch heart disease early. What I really love is the visual readout of heart rhythms. It's like having this cardiology consult right in my pocket. Honestly, I don't know how I practiced without it. I trust Echo so much that I worked with their team to create a special offer just for my listeners. Right now, you can get $50 off plus a free customizable chest piece cover at echohealth.com/nursemo. Your purchase is HSA and FSA eligible and may qualify for CEUs. Plus, Echo guarantees you'll detect heart and lung conditions more confidently. If you don't, return it for a full refund. Go to echohealth.com/nursemo for $50 off plus a free chest piece cover. That's ekohealth.com/nursemo.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Another thing you might be negative self-talking to yourself is that whenever someone gives you feedback or criticism, you think, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. I really want you guys to learn to accept criticism and feedback with grace, because you're going to get a ton of feedback and criticism in nursing school. And for someone who already thinks they're not qualified or thinks they don't belong, criticism can be really hard to take. But instead of thinking of it as criticism, I want you to start thinking of it as feedback. And when someone gives you feedback, your first response might be to get defensive or go into your shell and hide. I want you to do neither one of those things. Instead, I want you to thank them. Thank them for the feedback and take yourself and your personal feelings out of it. Instead of just thanking them, if you could take it a step further, I'd love for you to seek out feedback and criticism. Go to your clinical professor or the nurse you're working with that day, or the professor who is grading your presentation on diabetes, and say, I value your feedback. What could I have done differently? How can I improve for next time? So the more comfortable you get with the idea that criticism or feedback are actually really valuable learning tools, the less you'll let it reflect on your opinion of yourself. So that is key, seeking out feedback. And the flip side of that is accepting compliments and praise gracefully, okay? A lot of things that people with imposter syndrome do is say, oh, it was nothing, or shoot, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's negative self-talk, and it stops today. Instead, I want you to say, thank you. That's all you have to say is thank you. You can take it a little further. If it's someone whose opinion you really, truly value, you can add, coming from you, that means a lot. So thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot. And if you really want to go next level, you could say, coming from you, that means a lot. Do you have any other feedback for me? I'm always looking for ways to improve. See how your self-talk has gone from I'm not talented to I acknowledge my talent and seek out ways to get even more accomplished. Think about how that mindset will enable you to grow if it's framed in that way and you're not talking yourself down, but you're helping yourself grow. Okay, and the other thing I would give you a pep talk about as we're sitting here in my office having our coffee is to recognize when you need help. And don't be shy, ask for help. So many times students are too embarrassed to reach out for help, so they try to solve problems on their own or they ignore the problem entirely. So maybe you're just not getting the whole concept of distributive shock and you've got a test coming up and you just cannot grasp it. Okay, your professors want you to come to them with questions. That's the whole reason office hours were invented, guys. So use them. Your professors are a rich source of information. Go to them. Ask. I need help understanding distributive shock. Here's what I'm not understanding. Can you talk me through some examples, some scenarios? anything that can help you grasp the concept. Use your professor's knowledge. Go to office hours. Highly recommend. There's also most likely a bunch of other resources at your school. Maybe you're doing poorly on your papers. Writing is really difficult, especially at the college level, and APA format might be a completely new thing to you. Your school likely has a writing lab or a writing resource. Go to that. If you're having trouble with math, see if there's math tutors. If you're having trouble with stress or anxiety or an issue at home that's preventing you from being 100% present for your nursing school education, see if your school offers anything for mental health or counseling or any resources there. You have paid for all of these resources. I want you guys to use them if you need them. The other thing, the last thing I want to leave you with, is that I want you to choose your nursing school tribe wisely. So in nursing school, in high stress environments, you'll learn, and maybe you've already learned this, it's a heck of a lot easier to complain about things. It's a heck of a lot easier to worry and stress and doubt than it is to be proactive and do something about it. So I want you to be really careful that you're not surrounding yourself by people who waste their time and waste their energy in this negative landscape. Either reframe the culture of that group if you can. If it's not possible or you don't have the energy or the bandwidth to do that, I don't blame you. Create a new study group or make a new friend with someone who shares the same positive outlook as you do. A quick word about study groups before you go all in on them. I do want you to go to my website, search study group in the search bar, and see what I have to say about how they can be a huge waste of time, but there are methods to make them work for you. Okay. With that said, in closing, I just want to leave you guys with this understanding that if you are feeling this way, you're not alone. Like my friend thought, she was all alone in that, and she was so surprised to learn that not only is there a name for it, but a bunch of other people deal with this as well. And it is very, very often really high achieving individuals. Maya Angelou, okay, you guys all know who that is, right? Amazing poet. She said, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, we're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. So if someone like Maya Angelou, who is so accomplished and so talented and so respected for her amazing talent, can have imposter syndrome, it's pretty common, guys. So don't feel alone. I hope that pep talk helped you. And if you're looking for any resources on it, I read a great book called The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women. It's an excellent book. If you're a guy, it doesn't mean it doesn't apply to you, but in this author's studies and research, she found that it seemed to affect women in a slightly different way than it affected men, and often more significantly and more often. So if you're interested in that book, I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. So before I close out for today, if you've been listening to the podcast for the past few weeks, I've been doing shout outs to thank you guys for rating and reviewing on Apple Podcasts. So this one is from Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. And Lorraine says, Nurse Mo is so incredibly helpful to students like myself. I have her book, Nursing School Thrive Guide, her notes planner, and listening to the podcast just helps bring everything together. Highly recommend. Thank you so much, Lorraine. I am glad that everything I am making for you guys helps you. And if you're wondering what she's talking about, Nursing School Thrive Guide is a book that I wrote. It is available on Amazon. It is paperback. It is Kindle. It is audiobook. So however you like to get your books, you can get it in any of those formats. And check it out. It's great. It's a short read. It has actionable tips, and really the reviews on Amazon, basically the running theme is my anxiety about nursing school is so much less. I feel so much more prepared. So if you're going into nursing school, Highly recommend that book, not just because I wrote it, but because I wrote it for you and I knew what struggles you would be having and I wanted to help address them ahead of time. So that book was a huge labor of love from me to you. Go check it out. And then I will see you guys back here next week. We'll be talking about atrial septal defects as I am rounding out our offerings more, doing a pediatric episode next week. So I'll see you then and have a great day, everyone. Bye for now. This podcast is brought to you by Straight A Nursing, a proud member of the Airwave Media Network. For more educational podcasts, check out airwavemedia.com. And for more nursing-related content, go to straightanursingstudent.com.
Have you ever wondered what the science says about certain foods, products, or treatments? Does chiropractic actually work? Should I only buy organic foods? Are GMOs actually harmful? Is adrenal fatigue real?
We've got you covered. The goal of the Unbiased Science podcast is to dispel misinformation and misconceptions across an array of science and public health topics. We love to debunk myths and help arm our listeners with information so they can make evidence-based decisions. Make sure to tune in to the Unbiased Science podcast to get all of your questions answered.